giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Oh, yeah. Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live, presented by Boston Scientific. We're streaming live on YouTube. We on Facebook. And, of course, I am your host, Will Skywalker Steele. Boom! Good one lined up today, y'all. Today, we are going to take a look at past Day 3 draft picks to see if we can determine the future of the current Day 3 draft picks. That's right. Can any of these guys etch their name into some of the successful ones that we've seen here around Dallas? Major successes, and some of them just stuck around. And to help us do that, of course, we're bringing in the big homie, Patrick No-C Walker, for the Scientific Method segment. Now, we're still working on that name though, right? Will Sky and the Science Guy. Throw that up there. But yeah, Pat will be joining us at the top of the hour to discuss the Day 3 draft picks, y'all. And then in the roundup, Stephen Jones talks. He discusses some of this offensive line and a lot of different things. He also brought up contract stuff, and we'll get to that tomorrow. I think we'll open up the show with that tomorrow. But today, I want to kind of stick to the offensive line conversation that he brought up, plus Michael Gallup speaks. Michael Gallup opened up about his recovery and his mental state and physical state as well. So a lot to get to in a short period of time. So we got to jump right into it. But before I do that, what's good, Bomb Squad?
Bomb Squad!
Hope y'all having a good day. Let me know if the audio is straight. Last time we had issues with the audio when I had Pat on. I'll continue to monitor it from my side. But let's just jump. Okay, so it is. See, right there. See, it's slow right there. Let me just jump straight into the roundup. I'll get that situated, and we'll be good to go. Appreciate y'all. Let's do it.
It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time! It is time for.
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Oh, they do it. Hey, oh, they do it.
Hey, yo. Too loud? Too low? We good to go? Let me know. Bars. Stephen Jones spoke with Cowboys reporters. I guess something from the PBR was going on, whatever it is, the bull riding or something was going on at AT&T Stadium. And they decided to ask him a bunch of questions about the Cowboys. So thank you, reporters, giving us something to talk about here. The one thing that I took away from this was not the contract stuff. That will work itself out, I think. But the offensive line situation, that's the big talking point heading into training camp or mini camps or what have you when the veterans arrive here next week. And this is what Stephen Jones had to say about the offensive line. Quote, our top O-linemen, our top 5 O-linemen are our top 5 O-linemen. Tyron Smith, Tyler Smith, Tyler Biadasz, Terrence Steele. It's ridiculous, all those T's. And Zach Martin. The Smith, Biadasz, Steele, and Martin law firm. He said, it really felt like if you're going to get your best 5 who have played in this league, those are our best 5. We'll see what happens from there. Then they asked him about, or maybe before, who knows, about the left guard spot and specifically, and this is what he had to say about that. Quote, I think we have a talented group of linemen. Josh Ball will certainly get an opportunity to compete there. Interesting. For that spot. We're big fans of Chuma Igdoja, and this staff has done a lot of work on him. We really feel like he can come in there and help, and then we'll see how these rookies can do, especially Awesome. It's a great opportunity for him. He's a young guy, long, and we liked what we saw out there in minicamp. So on one hand, the best five, our best five is our best five. Our top five is our top five. On the other hand, Josh Ball is going to compete. Chuma's going to compete. We'll see what we got in awesome, is what he said. Huh. Okay. I mean, I'm just interested how that works out. Compete for what? Backup? Because if your best five is, which this is the best five, Tyron, Tyler, Terrence, Zach, those guys aren't competing for a starting spot, right? They're competing for a roster spot. They're competing to be a part of the rotation if guys go down, to be a backup, a reserve, a swing. And I think we can all agree that the five offensive linemen are going to be those guys, right? It's going to be Tyron, Tyler, Terrence, Zach. That's going to be the offensive line. But we also know Tyron finna go down. At some point, it's going to happen. So they have to be prepared. They probably should be giving Josh Ball, Chuma, Awesome, whoever it is that they got as a swing guard, they should probably be giving them some rep. Because the likelihood of those guys, or of Tyron going down, is extremely high. And when Tyron goes down, that means Tyler goes out to left tackle, and boom, we're back at square one at left guard. So he's giving us kind of a clear path of what this is here. We kind of figured that after the draft, when they did not draft an offensive lineman in the top 4 or 3 rounds to come in here and be a day one starter. And here we are. So that is the one position I'm going to keep my eye on the most for mini camps and training camps alike, in preseason, obviously. Michael Gallup also spoke with some of the reporters about how he's feeling after a year from his surgery. He says, quote, "I feel very confident. It just feels different. I'm smiling every time I walk in that facility." Also, he said, "I was thinking too much. My knee was sore." So I talked about this a lot last year, even when Michael Gallup went down. I said, hey, he might be able to physically go run and play, but listening to other injured players that tore their ACL, the guys like Malik Hooker, guys like I think KZ did the same thing at one point. You know, guys who come off of those type of injuries, it's usually a mental hurdle they have to get over. Well, not only was it mental last year, it was also physical, because we also learned that he had to get surgery on his knee. And he just told us, right? Hey, you know, I was thinking too much and my knee was sore. That's just not good. You can't have both of those things happening when you're relied upon to be wide receiver too. Now, if he gets his confidence back, he should be a really solid number 3 option for the Cowboys. As long as he has that confidence and that physicality back, if his knee is back, I should say that, not physicality, but his knee is back to being in good health. You know what also is going to help him? Having Brandon Cooks to take that load off his shoulder. The last time we saw Michael Gallup at his best was 2020, when he had Mari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, and then it was, oh, snap, there's Michael Gallup. He's just randomly catching a clutch pass or randomly bringing down a circus catch. Next thing you look up, 800 yards, 5 touchdowns. If he could be option number 3, I think he'll be fine if he's healthy. If he's not healthy, then we're looking at a Michael Gallup from last year. But Brandon Cooks is going to help in that capacity, and not just from a physical standpoint in regards to on the field, but here's his quote on Brandon Cooks being that veteran presence. We always talk about the veteran presence. I hammer that home a lot here because it matters. We saw what Cooper was able to do for these young guys. We saw what T.Y. in a short period was able to do for CeeDee Lamb. And now here's Michael Gallup talking about Brandon Cooks. He said, quote, "Oh man, Brandon Cooks, I'm talking about a 10-year vet that has 6 seasons over 1,000 yards. He's just bringing knowledge to the whole group, and we love him in there. I ain't gonna lie to you. He's been in there every day working, just trying to win. That's all he wants to do, is just win, and he wants to do it as a group. He's a great addition. That's all he keeps preaching." He talks about getting your body right, by the way. He talks to everybody When you are done with this, you're done with that. Make sure you stretch. Make sure you do what you're supposed to do so you can stay in the league as long as you possibly can. That's one of the biggest things right now. Football, that's going to be there. We got in the league for a reason, but he's over there talking about how you can stay in the league. That's the knowledge he's bringing. I will forever hold quality veteran guys at a high standard here. I will forever do it because I know how much they mean. I've talked to many people that talked about how much they mean in those locker rooms. And getting Brandon Cooks in here is not only going to be good for CD Lamb having a running mate, but the Michael Gallups of the world, the Luke Schoonmakers, the Jake Fergusons, even the running backs. He's going to help open up things on the field. But when you hear him being that leader of, hey, man, look, you're here, but let's do what it takes to keep you here. It's big. It's big. Love to hear it, man. And I think he's going to help all these guys. But Michael Gallup says he's getting his confidence back. He's in there smiling. He's feeling good. And that's good to hear, man. Honestly, seriously, because you can see it. You could see it last year in his game, in his demeanor. He just clearly was not healthy from a mental standpoint. But we were figuring, is he even healthy physically? Coming out of his breaks was choppy. He didn't look as confident. And once again, I literally had the 2020. Let me see if I still got it. I had the 2020 highlights ready to go. From 2020, and you can see the difference, or 2021. You can see the difference in just the receptions that he had that year compared to last year. Just flat out the highlights, not even just the tape, just the all 22 highlights of 2021 and 2022. He just wasn't there. He wasn't the same guy. It was easy to tell, and you just hope he gets that confidence back because the Cowboys are going to need him. You know, we're going to need all the horses that we can get heading into the season. Now, Michael Gallup was not a day 3 pick. He missed that by 1 round. He was a 3rd round pick. Good 3rd round pick, by the way, but a 3rd round pick. But day 3 picks are a huge part of the Cowboys team building because the way they approach the offseason, you need to hit on some of these guys. Now, sometimes you'll get an exception to the day 3 rule, in my opinion, which is more development. The development is a little bit more rigorous because these guys don't normally come in and they're day 1 starters or day 1 role players. They kind of got to work their way into developing that name. But you got exceptions. You got Deron Bland exceptions. You got Dak Prescott exceptions and so on. But for the most part, some of these guys take time. It might be a year. It might be 2 years. It might be year 3, year 4. We saw Dorrance Armstrong, Dalton Schultz. These guys didn't really make their names until year 3, year 4. But nonetheless, day 3 been pretty good to Dallas. Under Will McClay, day 3, for the most part, has been pretty good to the Cowboys. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back, way back in time. We're going to go back, man, and take a look at some of these day 3 picks between 2014 and 2022. I want to talk about them with you. And this is all under Will McClay. This is why I have from 2014 to 2022. The only guy that's really not on here is Israel Mukuamu, but we'll get to 2021. 2014, the Cowboys took Anthony Hitchens. I actually vividly remember when we took Anthony Hitchens, there was an uproar. Like, man, this is a 7th round type of guy. I can't believe we took him in the 4th round. Man, was Anthony Hitchens a major part of the defense when Sean Lee went out. A lot of us got concerned a lot when Sean Lee went down because the Cowboys really didn't have anybody that we thought could come in and fill in for him. Hitch did a wonderful job. I thought he did so good, matter of fact. He got paid in Kansas City, ended up winning the Super Bowl. But Anthony Hitchens, I think, is a successful day 3 draft pick for the Cowboys. One of their most successful ones, if being honest. In 2015, they took Damian Wilson and Jeff Swaim. Now, these aren't household names. These guys didn't go on to be Pro Bowlers or anything like that. However, Damian Wilson also has a Super Bowl. Damian Wilson was a 4-year special teams guy. He played some significant snaps defensively. He stuck around. When you're a day 3 guy, you stay on the roster for 4 years. That is no small feat. Same with Jeff Swaim. He won't wow you. Go look at his numbers. He's not going to wow you. But Jeff Swaim was always a tight end 2, tight end 3, and even got a year where he was able to do a little bit of tight end 1 things. Yeah, it was that unfortunate 2018 year. A lot of people forget. We talk about wide receiver by committee, but they also went tight end by committee. They went, I hate to even use the word tight end by committee. They went baby tight end by committee. These dudes didn't have any experience, and they rolled with them, and it didn't work out that year. And then in 2016, that was probably their best day 3 hit. I mean, some guy named Dak Prescott. Some franchise quarterback. I don't know, man. Just happened to get him in the 4th round on day 3. I mean, he's probably going to go down as one of the best day 3 picks, of the last 15 to 20 years. So you get Dak Prescott in round 3. Then you get Anthony Brown, who came in year 1 and got significant time. You could throw Anthony Brown in there as a guy who can be an exception to the rule of day 3 rules, along with the Dak Prescotts and Deron Blands of the world. He got a chance to play, and he played pretty well in year 1 and stuck around for 7 seasons in Dallas? Something like that. So AB, I think, is a successful day 3 hit as well. Kayvon Frazier was a special teams guy. Didn't play a whole lot defensively, but again, he played, I believe, most of his contract, if not all of it, in Dallas, and he's done with football as we speak. But Frazier was a hard-hitting safety. We kind of wanted to see more from, but he just never really got it. However, he stuck around. I wouldn't call him a failure as a 6th-round pick. Xavier Woods, Mr. 75%. Here's the thing about Xavier Woods, man. His way out really soured the success he had in Dallas. For a 6th-round pick, Xavier Woods was actually a success. But you can't go out there, and I don't care if you say, well, he wasn't Lions guy. I don't care, man. You don't go out there and say, oh yeah, we don't go 100% every play. I don't go hard every play. I can't. Man, you don't do that, man. You just can't do that. But Xavier Woods, for what he was as a 6th-round pick, was a success, man. That was a success. Same year, Noah Brown got taken in the 7th round. And he just kept staying on this. I have to call Noah Brown a success, y'all, because he kept staying on the roster. Yeah, he didn't have no crazy year. He finally had a breakout season in 2017. Right? He had that breakout year and got a chance to go get paid in Houston. And we'll see what happens as a wide receiver 2 or 3, whatever he's going to be down there. But he ended up being a staple as a special teams guy. Right? He ended up getting some tick his final season in Dallas as a wide receiver. And prior to that, he had a role. We didn't like the role, but he had a role. So I would consider Noah Brown a 7th-round day 3 success. I just would. Then the 2018 draft came around, and this might have been their... See, Dak Prescott throws this off because Dak is a franchise quarterback. The value there trumps everything. So aside from 2016 with Dak Prescott, 2018 might have been, the best day 3 for them so far, because another year might have something to say about that. But 2018, you got Dorrance Armstrong, who was one of those guys that took some development. It was year 3 where Dorrance, year 4 actually, where Dorrance finally, broke out of his shell. In fact, it got him paid. So Dorrance Armstrong took a lot of time, but he stuck around with them, and I consider him a day 3 success. Dalton Schultz, absolutely a day 3 success. I mean, we can poo-poo Dalton Schultz now that he ain't here, but when you get picked in the 4th round and you develop into a tight end that had the success he had over the last 3 years, I would say that's a successful day 3 pick for Dalton Schultz. Ced Wilson, one of my favorite day 3 picks, man. Just did everything for Dallas. He wasn't a phenomenal returner, but he was a returner that, you could count on. He was a returner that you could trust back there. Sure-handed guy, could do a lot of things for you in the slot. He could do some things for you outside. I think Ced Wilson is a success. 2019, come on, man. Tony Pollard, Donovan Wilson. That year, you could argue, is right there with 2018 in regard to day 3 guys. Dono just got the bag. TP's a Pro Bowler. He got tagged. We know how good he is. We can't complain about that. Absolute success rates. 2020. When I went and did some digging here on Tyler Biotish, I came away even more impressed that he hit. Let me tell you why. And this is a hit, by the way, y'all. You know, he's a Pro Bowler, right? Pro Bowl Tyler Biotish. I went and looked. The last time the Cowboys selected a day 3 offensive lineman, not center, not guard, not tackle, offensive lineman, was David Arkin. Y'all remember David Arkin? 2011. So for Tyler Biotish to hit the way he's hit, or hitting, because he's still here and he's still playing well, I think is an immense success. And he's obviously a day 3 hit here. So Tyler Biotish, not Bill Nagy, David Arkin. Jake Ferguson, Deron Bland, Damone Clark are still, you could maybe put question marks around those guys, but Jake Ferguson showed you in a limited time he got that he was productive. Deron Bland, I mean, I think the kid's going to be a superstar. Led the team with 5 interceptions. And then Damone Clark, who played or started about 8 games or so last year, going to be a starter next to LVE. Those are your 2022 day 3 picks. Still a lot to discuss about those guys, but I think they are on their way to being successes for the Cowboys. So day 3, man, has been good to the Cowboys. There are a lot of players that they missed on, but every team is going to miss on day 3 guys. But Dallas needed these guys to improve their roster because the way they approached the offseason over the last decade, they're not a team that's going to go out and spend a bunch of money in free agency. Not a team up until this past offseason. Not a team that's going to trade for a bunch of guys. So that part of the draft, and if day 3 Danny's in here, he'll attest to it, right? That part of the draft is so damn important. It's so important for the Cowboys to find some hits, and they usually do. So with that said, we're going to continue to talk about day 3 with our guy, Patrick No C Walker, Cowboys Nation. So take a sip of your water, your coffee, whatever you got, and get ready for the scientific method. But Pat No C and your boy Skywalker still give us about 2 seconds, and we got you. It's only right, Pat.
Every single time.
What's good, my brother? How you feeling, man?
I'm doing okay.
I was just about to say, the Braves done came down to Texas and you know did their thing, and I can't even celebrate, man. I don't want to feel like a phony, man. But I'll let you do the celebrate.
I mean, I'm not going to take a victory lap or make a victory parade out of it.
No, please do.
I mean, no, I won't, because number one, it's nothing but love for the Rangers and that organization. I mean, obviously, I'm here in Dallas, so I don't get to see a lot of live Braves baseball. So my supplement for that is seeing a lot of live Rangers baseball. So I go to a lot of Rangers games, and, you know, I root for the Rangers. I'm cheering them on. To be clear, I only have one team. I'm not a 2-team guy. We don't do that here.
No, we do not do that here.
But the Rangers and the Braves as organizations, they have kind of a bromance thing going on, front office wise, farm systems, trades, things like that. So, you know, I love nothing more than to see the Rangers get back to their winning ways. Obviously, you look at the Ron Washington connection. I mean, there's a lot of mutual love and you know, 6 degrees of separation or less between these two clubs. So wish them nothing but the best. And I'll be in the building, you know, when they go up against the next op. But I need them to take these L's this week because, you know, home team is the home team. But shouts out to the Rangers, man. That was a damn good series, man. Hope to see y'all in October.
So the Rangers to you are like the Mavs to me. I've adopted them in a sense. I don't have 2 teams, but I'm here in Dallas now. You know, I hope they do well. I would like to go see playoff games and things like that.
Yeah.
But it's Lakers for life. I'm just saying, dog.
Well, it's just, listen, nothing substitutes the experience of live sports. Yeah. And if you're no longer in, you know, your home market, me being from Georgia, for those that don't know, if you're no longer in your home market, as long as the city you're in isn't a rival, then you got to do what you got to do. So no reason for any Braves fan to have any kind of animosity towards the Rangers and vice versa. I mean, we go hard at each other for 3 days in these series, which without the new schedule, I mean, prior to this new schedule algorithm, it was like once every 3 or 4 years. So we rarely even saw each other. So I mean, it's just all in good fun. It's all love. Rangers fans, I see you. I love you. Welcome back to Corey Seager. Glad we held you to just an RBI and an offer. But hope you get back to your winning ways. And I know they will. I mean, that's a dominant lineup. Their bullpen is just struggling. That's all. So they'll find it. They'll figure it out. Just like we'll continue to roll and figure out our bullpen. And I feel like these two teams will meet again in October.
Well, let's keep the fun going here on the scientific method, Pat. We're talking about day 3 guys, and I look back at the history.
One woman, Oscar. We don't do that road tide. No. Go Dogs. Okay,
hey,
I saw that. Fan. Yeah. I saw road.
Y'all, hold on. When I say dog, maybe I'm using the word fan lightly here. He's a dog fanatic.
Alone, born and bred. Man. Let's go. Okay,
don't do that, Oscar. Don't do that.
Cowboys. Yeah, don't do that, Oscar. Don't do it.
So Cowboys, day 3 guys. We're talking about the success rates that they've been having over the last decade or so with Will McClay, and it made me think. Let's talk about these day 3 guys the Cowboys have now, and if they have a chance to join the ranks of some of these other successful hits for the Cowboys. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start backwards with Jalen Brooks. Very similar, eerily similar to how Noah Brown got here. 7th round pick with minimal college production. Is he a potential Noah Brown replacement?
I think so. And I want to objectify it qualify it by saying we're talking about a flyer pick. So let's keep our expectations right where they need to be. I mean, this is, the final pick in the Cowboys draft. And if he's in the building, if anybody's in the building, there's an opportunity for them to make an impact. So let's be clear on that. So that being said, does Jalen Brooks have a chance to come in and make some kind of waves in mini camp and training camp and over the course of the preseason, maybe carve himself out a spot on the final 53? The answer is yes. And it's going to be yes for any player that's on this 90-man roster right now. That's just the reality of it still. Now, what are the odds? The odds are working against him, but what's working in his favor is his ceiling. He's a bit raw. He does need some polishing, some refinement, which explains why he's a late round pick in the first place. But if you go back and you look at his film, he's a lengthy wide receiver. He has a very large catch radius. He can be aggressive at the point of attack. And what I like from him, and I like that you kind of compared him, at least right now, to what you saw in Noah Brown. Noah Brown was willing to do the dirty work. He was willing to do all the trench work and get down there in the gutter and in the mud and just whatever the Cowboys need. He was willing to put both hands into it and lean into that. And that's what I think, Jalen can be as well. This Jalen, not the other Jalen. We'll talk about that another day. I do believe Tolbert will make some progress, but that's not what we're talking about right now.
Real quick, before we move on to the next one, can you explain the relationship that Jalen Brooks and Daniel Jones had? Because I keep hearing about it, but I haven't dove deep into it. Apparently, he's a big reason why he's here or something.
Well, it's not really deep. I mean, it's nothing that you'd find on like Ancient Aliens or anything as far as like this weird conspiracy theory. I mean, they have some history, and obviously it's positive history, a little bit of a personal relationship. They were teammates at one point over the course of their upcoming football careers as youngsters. And it's just more so Daniel Jones is the quarterback of the New York Giants. Jalen Brooks is coming into the Dallas Cowboys situation. So it's people, looking for dots to draw lines between. But I promise it's not this whole headline thing that anyone should really be, giving too much energy to. They know each other. It's friendly, obviously. One plays for the Giants, and he just got a new deal, one of the highest paid quarterbacks in NFL history. But the other is trying to survive training camp. So those two things are not exactly on the same level.
I'm glad you did because I saw a couple articles I didn't really click on. I'm like, Daniel Jones, Jalen Brooks, this doesn't make any sense. But
it's off-season talk. It's,
gotcha. And it's Cowboys. So if you put
there you go.
Daniel Jones, Cowboys, wide receiver, you'll get some clicks. Eric Scott Jr., the team celebrated like, bro, they won the World Damn Series when they took Eric Scott Jr. So I can't just look at this and be like, Eric Scott Jr., special teams guy, we'll leave it at that. Can he, or how does he join the ranks of Israel Mukuamu, Deron Bland, day 3 DBs that are pretty damn good for Cowboys right now?
You know what? Eric Scott, to me, and I say the steal of the draft is obviously going to be your Deuce Vaughn. And just odds are he's the odds-on favorite to be the steal of this particular draft, not just day 3, but overall for the Dallas Cowboys. But I've named the sleeper in this draft. The biggest sleeper has got to be Eric Scott Jr. You go back and look at Eric Scott Jr.'s film, and yes, polish is needed. Again, we're talking about late round picks. We're talking about what people would typically designate as flyer picks, 6th round, 7th rounders. So they need some work, but his intangibles and the tangibles that he has already put on film, I'm very impressed. And I know the Google machine lied to a lot of people, because as soon as the pick was named, everybody's like, well, why the Cowboys trade up? Why they give away a 5th round pick in 2024 to move up to 178 for a cornerback that runs a 4.72? Okay, well, they didn't know the context. The context being that he jumped almost 40 inches on the vertical, kind of tweaked his quad on that, and then opted to still run the 40. Now, I don't know about you, William. I don't know, but let me tell you about me. And I'm not only a former athlete, I still play ball.
Yes, you do.
If I tweak my quad right now, I'll have a hard time running to the mailbox, let alone running a 40-yard dash. He ran a 40-yard dash on a tweaked quad and still ran a 4.7. Think of it in that context, and you'll get an idea of how fast he actually is. He is documented as running sub 4.35, and that's something that was confirmed by the Cowboys, who did a lot of due diligence on him. But now you're talking about let's say a sub 4.4 guy. Speed, has length, gritty, grimy, plays violent. Look at the 2 pick sixes that he had in 2022. He can take the ball away, loves taking the ball away. He joins a Cowboys defense that loves taking the ball away. I think Eric Scott has he has a better end or easier end than a Jalen Brooks, for example, because with Jalen Brooks, look at what the trade of Brandon Cooks and how he comes to the table with CeeDee Lamb and Gallup, and then you want to Jalen Tolbert, we mentioned him. They're going to try to get him some reps as well. Maybe Kevontae Turpin gets some reps out of the slot as wide receiver. But I say all that to say the wide receiver room is, and then when you factor in the tight ends, because they're Schoonmaker, Ferguson, Hendershot, those are receiving tight ends. They can block Ferguson and most certainly Schoonmaker, but they're going to be getting targets as well. So by the time you get to wide receiver 5, targets are going to be kind of difficult to come by. So that's the crux of what Jalen Brooks is up against. But if you look at Eric Scott, yes, you're all set with Gilmore, Diggs, Bland, and Jordan Lewis coming off of injury. But that's 4 guys. Jordan Lewis they're going to have to revisit his situation probably as soon as next offseason as far as his contract is concerned. And now you're talking about Gilmore going into, he's not on a long-term deal either. So really the only long-term solutions you have right now atop your cornerback room is Trayvon Diggs, and deal pending, right? You know, contract extension pending. You still got contract talks with him. But even when you throw that in, that goes to my overarching point, which is looking forward to 2024. I think this is a situation where Eric Scott comes in and he impresses enough to make the Cowboys say, you know what, we're not willing to let this guy go. That's why we traded up for him. He might be an answer to one of the top 3 spots in 2024 and beyond. And I think that's when you really start to see the value and what you might have in Eric Scott.
Yeah, the path is a lot clearer, I think, for Eric Scott than it is for a Jalen Brooks. And the same could be said for Awesome. Now you called Eric Scott your sleeper. But I feel like Awesome Richards might be the most important day 3 pick. So you have like a sleeper in Eric Scott. You believe the best value steal or what have you would be Deuce Vaughn. I think Awesome is the most important given the situation with the offensive line, the long-term situation with the offensive line. But listen to this history, Pat. This was interesting when I went to take a look, man. Since 2000, I had to go all the way back. The Cowboys have only hit on 2 day 3 offensive linemen. Doug Free in 2007 and Tyler Biadasz in 2020. That is a tough history to overcome. How does he overcome it, Pat?
He overcomes it by doing what he did at North Carolina, which is keep the quarterback clean, keep Dak Prescott clean. I saw when I was digging into his stats, I saw where he allowed only 1 or 2 sacks per 1,000 reps. And I think if he brings that over to the table and transitions that's a huge, huge benefit for him. And that's what's going to help him potentially be successful for the Cowboys. But it's also going to go to how quickly he can acclimate to being slid inside as needed. Because going into training camp, and I asked Mike McCarthy about it, and to put it plainly, and I also asked Will McClay and Stephen Jones about it. To put it plainly, this is not going to be a situation like you saw with Tyler Smith last summer, where, they hadn't exactly gotten the message quite yet that Tyron Smith isn't going to play a full season.
Yeah.
So they went into it with the assumption that he would, and that caused them to move Tyler Smith down to left guard for the entirety of training camp. And then what happens? Big 7-7 goes down in August, and now you got to pop Tyler back out to left tackle. This is a situation where, in speaking with Mike, Will, and Steven, you're going to see Awesome Richards get reps at both left guard and tackle in training camp. He's going to get those reps split between the two so that there's not a situation where he might be put in. He's not going to be put in a situation like Tyler Smith was put in last year. And good for Tyler Smith being able to immediately make an impact despite being up against that 8-ball like that. But there's no guarantee if you put Awesome in that same equation that he would be. So they're just not going to put him in that equation. So, but he's going to be paramount. Tyler Biadasz, you mentioned earlier, coming off of a Pro Bowl season. So yes, he is a hit. Doug Free was a hit. We know holding penalties. I get it. For those that might have forgotten. Still, Doug Free, you saw what happened, the fall off at the position when he was out or when he retired. And then they had to refigure that out with Lyle Collins moving him out to right tackle. And then, of course, ended up with Terrence Steele, an undrafted guy, huge hit for the Cowboys there. But Awesome, he's going to have to step in and really do the job because Biadasz, he's going into a contract year. All these contract years are coming up. So not only are you trying to figure out the interior, well, I should say the left guard / center position because Zach is Zach, but you're not just trying to figure it out for now. You're trying to figure it out for later. So that makes Awesome Richards' selection that much more crucial as far as it needing to hit because they didn't address O-line before day 3. They finally do. That puts the onus on him to come in and make an impact. But when you add the additional variables of Biadasz going into a contract year, even Zach Martin, we would love to believe he's going to be here forever, but he's just not. So, but I think Awesome, he most certainly has the tools.
I think the nugget you just dropped where you spoke with Will McClay and those guys that he's going to get some tackle and guard reps is so important because Tyler Smith, did not get a chance to do that. For whatever reason, they were working him. It felt like exclusively. I mean, you were down there. Every time I looked over, it felt like he was exclusively left guard. And in my mind, I'm like, hey, man, this Josh Ball don't look like he's a left tackle to me. Hey, man, what Matt Walesko is not out there. Who is going to play left tackle if yada yada goes down? And what happens? He goes down. So that's important.
That was your fault? You jinxed it? Is that?
I mean, that's how the fans do it, you know.
I guess
Scott said, "Oh, look, I'm just going off history."
But see, I'm
just using science, Pat.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, science. The problem that I have with leaning on a guy like Josh Ball is I've not seen it.
Right.
Whatever it might be, and we know what it is, but that particular it that would make you optimistic that he could be the answer at the edge, we didn't see it, and now. Because they've seen that he's not the answer at the edge, they say, hey, well, let's give him a tryout on the interior. Well, I don't see the footwork that would do so because, as you know, in studying film for so many years and looking at the science of the position of the offensive line positions as a whole, business picks up on the interior when you come in from the edge. And not only does business pick up as far as the rate of speed that the game is played at, but you also have to be stronger. And I don't see these certain traits in Josh Ball. That's why I don't view Josh Ball as a viable option. Now, when you start talking about a guy like Matt Farniok, I do see Matt Farniok as a viable option, particularly as possibly the successor to Tyler Biadasz at center if Biadasz and the Cowboys don't get a deal done. But I like the potential on Matt Farniok, and I love the potential on Matt Waletzko. If not for that subluxation of his shoulder last season in training camp specifically, I think that he could come in and be the definitive swing tackle. But his absence is what led to Jason Peters coming in. And it worked out fortuitously for the Cowboys because Jason Peters came in and did a fantastic job. Hell, he was the hero of at least one game, talking about Houston, Texas, 98-yard drive. So let's go as far as the offensive line is concerned. He's going to be a viable option. Matt Farniok's a viable option, along with now Awesome Richards. But you lose an option in Isaac Alarcon, who's now moved to the defensive side of the ball. And when it comes to Josh Ball, I don't see it. And this is not hindsight. The receipts are there. I was very low on Josh Ball pre-draft. I did not necessarily like the pick whatsoever, but He's in the building, and as I said at the top of the segment, if you're in the building, you got a chance to prove yourself right and prove everybody wrong. And I sincerely hope Josh Ball does that. I just can't objectively sit here and say I see it right now.
You brought up real quick. You brought up Farniak, and I just wasn't a fan of his left guard play, but I am interested now to see what he could be as potentially a full-time backup center because we don't have a center. He's probably your backup center. He's probably your backup center right now, and maybe he could potentially be the guy moving forward until they figure out the position. So that just kind of got in my head because I've been on Matt Farniak's bad side at guard, but I didn't think about the center. Seriously,
yeah, and keep in mind, coming out of college, I mean, he obviously played a good bit of guard, but his base position is center. So that's going to be his bread and butter, I think, for the Cowboys. Because if the Cowboys felt like he would, had enough to immediately be the answer at left guard, you probably don't see Asim Richards in the building right now. They probably don't even value, or I should say, put the value they put on drafting an offensive lineman going into this draft that they would have if they felt Farniok was going to be a better option at left guard. I think they're looking at him and saying, hey, you know what? We see that you have the tools, and I agree he does have the tools, but I'm looking at him more so as insurance against the potential loss of Tyler Biadasz in 2024.
That makes sense. They didn't take a center at all, and they got a bunch of guys that can play guard, so that makes a ton of sense.
Follow the tea leaves.
The next one, Viliami Fehoko. I really don't know what to make of him in regards to his long-term outlook, but every time you watch him,
violent.
I just sit here and say, I can't wait for the pads to come on. I can't wait for the pads to come on because he plays with a tenacity and a motor that you just don't see from down in, down out in college. But how does he push for some time in 2021, or 2023, or is this a guy that we have to wait maybe next year to really get his shot here? It's a loaded D-line room.
I think that for Hoko, not entirely dissimilar from the Jalen Brooks situation, positionally speaking. The Cowboys are just loaded, like you said, at pass rusher, period. Because if you throw Mike in as a pass rusher, conversations, is he a DE? Is he a linebacker? Ask him, he's a DE. Ask the stats, he's a DE. Ask Dan Quinn, he's still a linebacker that happens to rush the pass. We'll see what that contract says when it comes around, because those are two different positions to pay. But as far as the pass rush is concerned, you talk Micah, DeMarcus Lawrence, Dorrance Armstrong, Sam Williams is ready to break out, I believe. Dante Fowler is back on a new deal. And we're talking strictly about the edge, so the list goes on. And now you come inside on the interior, who you got? Obviously, Jonathan Hankins, but look at him more so as the run stopper. Mozzie Smith, first-round pick of this particular draft. The more you talk to Will McClay and Stephen Jones and Mozzie Smith himself, you start to realize, he's going to come in and be your definitive run stopper alongside Jonathan Hankins and, of course, the successor at the position. But you're going to see him rushing the edge as well, probably before the end of the 2023 season. So the list goes on and on. So then you start looking at Viliami, which, everybody calls him Junior Fehoko, and you start wondering, okay, where does he fit in? Well, number one, I call him Cersei Lannister. And the reason I call him that is because every day he wakes up and he chooses violence on the football field. Couldn't be a better guy to be around off the field. Ear to ear grin, bubbly, but when he's between those lines, he's just an absolute animal. Go look at his film. As soon as the ball is snapped, every single time, all he sees is red. Plays hard, plays through the whistle. Great with his hands. Still needs some work. I see him as the Cowboys potentially. He might cost a veteran their job. I just don't know what veteran that would be. I hesitate to say it would be like a Dante Fowler, because I feel like Fowler brings too much value, and he's only on a one-year deal, so he doesn't cost a lot. But he Junior Fehoko has the opportunity to potentially cost somebody a job.
Yeah,
that's unexpected, because I don't know that you could stash him on the practice squad.
No. He has to make this team as a fourth round pick. We're not cutting him.
So he's going to cost somebody their job, and not simply because, and I didn't want to say it that way, because I don't want people to say, okay, well, the only reason he beat out player X, whomever that player might be, in July and August is because he's the fourth round pick. I don't want them trying to Jalen Tolbert the kid, because he genuinely has the talent. So I feel like based on the talent and the upside alone and the tools alone, Dan Quinn's going to get this kid in camp. He's going to be like, hey, I'm just not willing to risk him to waivers, period. So that's going to cost somebody a gig.
Yeah, they might have to go long at that position, short somewhere
And
else. But
probably will. What Dan Quinn
yeah,
wants, he gets.
he's the type of guy, Pat, that I call, I
Wait,
say
somebody said bye bye DA. Relax.
who,
Uh,
nah,
I,
that's not
pay,
happening.
just pay
That's
closer attention to what Dorrance is doing out there.
nah, DA not going unless they
Yeah,
trade him for a quality pick, but that's about it.
yeah,
You're not cutting
and he's a
Dortch.
front office favorite. On top of the fact he's coming off of a career season, so no, that Rock Chalk is staying put
Yeah.
in 2023. I predict anyway.
Yeah, it'll be somebody down roster guy. I don't think it'll
Exactly,
be anybody like
exactly
that.
my point. They
Yeah,
have 90 guys to get rid of, and
yeah,
it might not be when I say player X, it might not be someone on the defensive line at all. It might be a young safety or something like that.
right.
Maybe and I don't want to throw any guys' names out there because I don't want to put bad juju on
You
them.
don't.
But it could be a young safety that gets put back down to the practice squad, or a young cornerback that's still in development gets put back down to the practice squad, something like that. So doesn't necessarily mean my prediction that Fehoko makes the team doesn't necessarily mean that he'll cost Dante Fowler his job or Dorrance Armstrong his job, but he'll cost somebody their job.
Yeah, I consider him a guy that he's going to piss people off. Meaning he's going to piss the guys off he's playing against, and he's going to piss the competition in the room off because they're going to be like, man, this young man is going hard. I got to step my game up. So that's the type of guy. Now let's get to our final guy on our day 3 pick, and I had to save this one for last. I just think the best for last here, man, and that's Deuce Vaughn. And we called awesome potentially the most important one. Eric Scott you have as the sleeper, and you labeled Deuce Vaughn as the steal. I just feel like, brother, he is fast track to put his name in those day 3 hits fairly easily, most likely due to the position, but also due to the room. And let's not mistake it. It's mistaken. The kid can play.
Yep.
So, how you feeling about Deuce Vaughn in 3 years from now? Could he be the headliner of the day 3 class?
Yes, absolutely. You mentioned it perfectly when you said looking at the room as well. We talk about the positional challenges as far as the number of bodies in the room and the names that are in the room when you talk about wide receiver, defensive line. But then you look at running back with the release of Ezekiel Elliott, that even with the signing of Ronald Jones, the path is cleared for Deuce Vaughn to step in and be a tandem player, a complement player to Tony Pollard. And yes, Tony Pollard still on a franchise tag right now. He's confident the deal is going to get done. Cowboys are confident the deal is going to get done. Realistically speaking, though, until it's done, it's not done. So if Tony Pollard is here for the long term, which I predict he will be, you have a dynamic long-term complement to Tony Pollard and Deuce Vaughn. If for whatever reason things go awry with Tony Pollard, I don't think Deuce Vaughn is the feature back as far as your 1A, but he still gives you an opportunity to have that nice security blanket in the event that you need to go out and get that stronger type of bell cow guy, that 1 or 2 down guy that Zeke was, that Ronald Jones is stepping in to be him. Or maybe you just re-sign Ronald Jones and revisit the position in the draft next year if you can't get something done with Tony Pollard. But however you slice it, Deuce Vaughn is in a fantastic position as far as that room is concerned. And then you add what he brings to that room, even with Tony Pollard. I'm not even going to say Tony Pollard notwithstanding, inclusive of Tony Pollard.
Yes.
You don't see the type of quickness and explosiveness, even in Pollard, which is saying a lot because Pollard is the most explosive player on the Cowboys prior to the arrival of Deuce Vaughn. Tony has the stripes. Deuce has to get his stripes, so let's be clear there. But as far as just speaking raw talent, measurables, just Deuce is quicker, Deuce is faster, Tony is bigger. Tony is more experienced, so those things work in each other's favor. But Deuce, you put the ball in his hands, people try to use his size against him. His size is what helps make him so dynamic. You realize how difficult it is to tackle this kid. You can have a beeline right to him, and you're probably still going to miss, even if you make perfect contact because you're sliding right off of him. I can't remember the tweet I put out there while I was watching this film after the draft, but it's like trying to tackle a dolphin dipped in oil, like vegetable oil with a turbo pack strapped to his back. Like the kid is he's just ridiculous. He can catch it out of the backfield. He can line up in the slot. He's destructive, just lethal in space. But quiet as it's kept, he can run up the A and the B gaps as well. He's as tough as he is small. Deuce Vaughn has all the tools to make himself a great player for the Cowboys, and he's coming into a position where he has the door wide open for him to do exactly that. So not only is it a fantastic storyline with his dad Chris being in the building, but that aside, as fantastic as that is, that's not why he's here. He's here because he can really do some damage for the Cowboys, and I do see Darren Sproles 2.0,
Oh, yeah.
and that should make Cowboys fans feel great, because for those that were around when Darren Sproles was torturing the Cowboys, turnabout is fair play, ain't it?
They need that. You'd be hard pressed to find a quicker back, right? A quicker back in this NFL draft, and he uses that quickness between the tackles. You talked about it. He's a tough guy that will run between the tackles and A B gaps. He had the most rushes in between the tackles of all running backs in the draft at 5'5". So this is
the whole narrative of, oh, he's only a gadget back and he can only, hit the outside. He can hit the outside and he can give you some gadget plays, but he's much more than that. He can take the ball and get in between those A and B gaps. And it's not because he's not successful in those A gaps because he's this big bruiser who's beating up on guys. He's successful because, the 6'5", 320-pound nose tackle can't find him when he gets into the A gap. So by the time he tries to find him, he's already at the second level and he's making the linebacker miss. And now he's at the third level and possibly taking it home. So Deuce Vaughn, I look forward to seeing him play in a Cowboys uniform. And he has work to do. He has to earn the star just like everybody else. Every other rookie, they have to earn the star. But I think when it's all said and done, Deuce will end up being the steal of this draft.
It's like trying to capture a rabbit behind a bunch of bears.
Yeah. Where's he at?
Where's he at? And then you think you got a line to him. He's quick. He's just gone.
He's out of here.
Fantastic stuff, man. Appreciate you as always, my guy, Pat No C Walker. And of course, you're bringing the what, man?
I'm bringing the science. And when it comes to science, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't care about your feelings. So with this episode, every single week, every single Thursday, 9:00, myself still giving you guys the science. Make sure your feelings log out of the chat.
Hey, look, you brought something up. You said something about long-term Tony Pollard. We might have to revisit this next week, man.
We
might have to revisit.
I think it gets done. They think it gets done.
Save it.
They think it gets done, but we will see.
Because I want to get into this next week.
Yeah, until it's done.
I want to get into this, man.
It ain't done.
All right, man. I'll let you get back to work. I know you got some things you got to hit up the star.
Yeah, head it out to the HQ right now. Yeah. Provide
us with all the good stuff, man. So that is Patrick No C Walker of DallasCowboys.com, my good brother, giving you the science, Cowboys Nation. Salute, good brother.
All right, brother. See you next time.
Yes, sir. Make sure y'all hit the like button, drop the fire emojis, and all that good stuff for the scientific method. Second segment, second episode of the scientific method. I didn't mean to press that button. But if you do want to call into the show, you absolutely can call into the show. 351-999-3787 is the call-in line. I tell you something. If y'all could really see all the buttons I'm pressing and things I'm trying to do here to get this thing, make sure it's right. Nuts. But I love it, man. I absolutely love doing all this. Appreciate Pat coming through. This will be, like he said, a weekly thing. And I'm just so excited for it, man. He's one of the best, if not the best down there. And I know some of those guys watch this, but nobody, I don't think anybody works as hard and is as thorough and puts out the quality that he does, man. He's just that damn good. A lot of people down there do really damn good work, but Pat he's phenomenal. So we're going to continue to drop the scientific method and bring the heat, man, as much as we can. Yes, sir. So we are at about 9:30. Where's what we're going to do? Where the phone lines out here? Pass out here. Boom, boom. Let's see who we got on the line. All right. I'll leave the lines open for about 5 more minutes. And we'll get a few calls in and we will wrap up the show today. Good stuff. All right. Let's go ahead and hit the phone lines. We got my guy, L. Gene, coming through. Appreciate him coming through when he can. How you doing, good sir?
I'm doing all right. How you doing today, Scott?
Man, look, anytime I get a chance to talk to Pat, talk Cowboys, it has to be a good day, man.
Hey, man, Pat is awesome, man. It's one of the more intelligent people that you'll ever be around. Follow him on Twitter. He's awesome on Twitter. Big Braves fan. Been following him for a long time, man. Long time. I got a real quick question for you, man. And I know it's probably one of these questions that's probably going to cause some controversy.
Dun, dun.
Is this a make or break year for Dak Prescott?
In what case? For the Cowboys?
Not only just for the Cowboys, but
And
really for his career.
Nah, if Dak Prescott if he hit the market, it gets swooped up real fast and get paid. But for the Cowboys, if they don't extend him, we got to wait and see if they'll extend him. If they I can't even say that because he's under contract next year.
Right. And to me, I just really feel like I don't have any doubts on Dak Prescott. I just feel like last year he was put in a position that he took on too much.
No, let's get back to the question though. Is it a make or break year? I think it's a pressure packed year. Like it's weird, man. As a Cowboy quarterback, it feels like every damn year is like that. You know, you get your little when you come off of a great year, you have that little 1 year window where everybody's liking you. But if you don't do nothing after that, like get to the Super Bowl or something, it's a pressure packed year. But he has 2 years left on his contract, man. It's hard to say it's make or break, but it's damn sure pressure packed.
To me, it was just weird because you got a guy that led his team to the divisional round and could have won it or tied it up on the last play of the game 2 years in a row. And here we're talking about we're questioning is this the guy? You know what I'm saying? And I don't think any other
who's we?
Any other franchise. I'm not gonna say we, but it's just one of those ones. It's like
Uncle Phil. We.
I get you, man. And you know what? I really think. Okay, so let me ask you this question, Scott.
Mm.
Was Dak Prescott the reason we lost that divisional game?
Oh, he was a big part of it, 100%.
Big part of it. Okay, is that something that you see? Is it something that he can correct, or is this just who he is? He's the guy that.
Why is that even a question? You think in San Francisco that's who he is?
Huh?
You're questioning if what we saw in San Fran is who Dak Prescott is?
No. What I'm questioning is Dak Prescott in those type of games when he has to win or he has to step up, because as you saw, there was after Tony Pollard went down, pretty much there was nothing. So that is when Dak Prescott got the pressure put on him. And I feel like when Dak Prescott gets that pressure put on him, he presses. And I think that's a big part of his game. You know what I'm saying? Sure.
Kind of hard to win when you said there was what now? When Tony went down?
It was nobody but CeeDee Lamb. And you're right. And you know what? I get you.
You said that. You said there was nothing, and that's real hard to do, brother. That's real hard to do.
And you know what? It's real hard to do, but I think here in Dallas, man, they
don't care.
They don't, and it's going to become a point in time, and I think it's going to be this season that Dak Prescott is going to have to it's going to be on him. It's going to be on him, and it's going to be on nobody else but him.
That is not a good way to go about it. If it's always going to be on Dak Prescott or any quarterback, really, there's only maybe 3 of them I would I'll put it all on him. That's not a way to win. You're not going to win a championship putting it all on Dak Prescott. Not going to happen. And I think that's why you saw them go out and get Stephon Gilmore, go out and get Brandon Cooks, because they thought that last year. Oh, we can get rid of Amari Cooper. We'll put it all on Dak Prescott, and that didn't work out. So you gotta, as Joe Burrow said, I don't care how good your quarterback is. Joe Burrow said this. You need to have the good players around him, and I think they saw that this offseason. So it's 100% a pressure packed season for them.
Absolutely. And like I said, I'm the biggest Dak supporter of them all. I really think he's going to get it done this year. I just think that you know how this Dallas media is, and you know how quick Dallas can turn against you.
The Dallas media is least of his worries. The Dallas media, honestly, is pretty soft compared to the Dallas fans. Right. So I don't think he cares about the Dallas media. In fact, the media knows more about Dak Prescott from a intimate basis, in regards to on the field, in the locker room, what he deals with, and they care more about that and the context than the fans do. It's the fans that, if he doesn't get it done this year, you'll see the overwhelming onslaught of we hate Dak Prescott, get him out of here, because it's already half the fan base there. If they lose in the playoffs again, it'll be more than half, bro. I can tell you that.
Okay. And this is my last question for you, Scott. And if Dak Prescott doesn't improve from last year, are you still sold on him?
If he regresses, I mean, I'm going to.
If you don't see if the interceptions continue, and
so if last year is not an anomaly and he throws another like 15, 16 interceptions, yeah, that becomes a problem now. You know,
right?
That's a problem.
That's what makes it a pressure season for him because he cannot.
That's not what makes it a pressure season. That's not what makes it a pressure season. What makes it a pressure season is he's a quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. What makes it a pressure season is he's a quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys and the team that hasn't won a Super Bowl in 30 years. What makes it a pressure season is they haven't even gotten to the NFC Championship game in 30 years, which means that includes his tenure. Interceptions didn't make it a pressure. Tony Romo threw a ton of interceptions. That wasn't the reason why it was pressure. It was pressure because we are expecting to be a place that we haven't been in 30 years. Now, let me ask you this. What if because everyone always does this. Well, what if he throws a bunch of this? What if he doesn't? It's always the other side. What if he does? What if he does, get better and goes back to throwing 9, 10 interceptions, 35 touchdowns? What if he does win 2 playoff games? What if he does do that? How do you feel? How would y'all feel? Just curious here. Because no one ever asked that question. That's not the question that comes out of fans' mouth because they feed into the other side.
If Dak Prescott wins a Super Bowl, maybe not.
Well, I ain't even go there. I'm gonna
say if he gets to a Super Bowl, like Jalen Hurts did.
Okay.
He's automatically number 3, questionable number 2 in my book. Because what those other 2 guys did with those teams, those was dynasties. But with this. With the media, social media, the parody, the whole thing of the NFL, the way it's constructed, if he can take this team with the pressure on him, I feel like at least number 3, questionable number 2.
Oh, I don't care about rankings. I just was curious how you would feel if he did the opposite of what you're asking. That's all.
Top 5 quarterback, easily. Top 5, easily.
All right. Some people might think that now. But all right, man. Appreciate you, Gene.
All right, brother.
Let's get Miss Queen in the building. We ain't heard from Miss Queen in a minute. What's good, Queen?
Hey, what's going on?
Not much. How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm just excited about this season coming up. It seems like the more we talk about it, the more excited I get.
Yeah.
It seems like they're making all the right moves. This is the most excited I've been about a season in a very, very, very long time. And I just wanted to encourage everybody to get ready to drink the Kool-Aid because it is on and popping. And Dak is going to shut a lot of haters up. And all these players is trying to get their bags. They're going to show you why they deserve their bag this season. From the rooter to the tutor.
From the rooter to the tutor. All right, Miss Queen.
That means from the front to the back of the building. Gonna show you what time it is.
Love the positive energy. Miss Queen. That's all you got for the show?
As far as Boston Scientific goes, ladies, get that man that Boston Scientific. I'm telling you, it gets him hard. It keeps his right. So he can make it last all through the night.
Come on, Miss Queen. I don't even got to do a read. Y'all heard her? edcure.org, Boston Scientific.
Yeah, I got that for you. I made that for you.
Thank you, Miss Queen. That was fantastic. I'm actually going to pull that.
Okay, Dave. Talk to y'all later.
Bye. I mean, I don't even have to do the read. There it is. You heard it, Miss Queen. It ain't hard, but you can be.
You're listening to A to Z Sports.
Do it live!
At some point, hoping to broadcast
in front of the millions
of Cowboys fans to bring you the real. But for now, strap up and here's your host, Skywalker Steel.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
We'll do it live.
What other shows, man? What other shows? You gotta love it. I see you, Clebo. Clebo said, thanks, guy, for asking that question about Dak, because no one asked those type of questions. That's why I did it. I did it on purpose, Clebo. Most people will lean into the negative side, and it is a discussion that we need to talk about. But leaning into it constantly without talking about the other side and the potential, it can be a bit of a miserable conversation. Yeah, there's pressure. There's always pressure on the Dallas Cowboys quarterback. Always pressure. That'll never go away. Even more so when you haven't won a championship for so long. But I'm sorry if you want to call me a homer in the sense of I believe he's not going to throw 15, 17 picks again. I mean, that's just me looking at the science. Yeah, last year was an anomaly. I don't really worry about him getting back to not throwing that many picks in the regular season. That's not my issue. We're going to need the play to improve against a top defense in the postseason. We're going to need the coaching to improve against top teams in the postseason. And we're going to need the team to improve in the postseason to get where we want to get to. But, hey, man, don't believe me about when it comes to a team thing. Go listen to one of the best young quarterbacks in the game. You know? Joe Burrow been saying the same thing we've been saying since the Romo days and before that and after that. No matter how good your damn quarterback is. If you ain't got the players in the environment, which includes coaching, that just makes it tougher. Impossible, I won't go that far. Tougher, yes. And the question that Gene posed of, well, it's all on Dak. Well, if it's going to be put all on Dak Prescott, your Cowboys are not winning the Super Bowl. I'm telling you that right now. And that's not a dig at him, because there's only maybe one, maybe two quarterbacks that you can say, hey, I'm going to put it all on you. Maybe. And even in that case of the one we all talk about, right? Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes has one of the best coaches in the history of football. There's not many coaches that know how to put guys in the best position to succeed. He took a failure in Alex Smith and turned him into a Pro Bowler. He gets success out of guys like Kevin Kolb, washed up Jeff Garcia, Michael Vick, who was in prison for years. Be nice if we had one of those, not a Jason Garrett, Dave Campo, Kellen Moore, and all the other failure of coaches that we've had come through here. So much context, man. That I've always been this way. I've been this way when Tony was a Q. I've just always had this thought as a football fan that I never understood the obsession with putting everything on the quarterback, good or bad. I don't think the quarterback should get all the credit either. I never understood that. But I get it, man. It gets clicks. It generates ratings. It is what it is. It's not fair to the team, and it's not fair to the quarterback, because he shouldn't get all the credit and he also shouldn't get all the blame. But that's the way it goes. That's the way the cookie crumbles. 912, what it is, what it do. 912, going once.
Sky, what's up, man?
There we go.
First time caller. This is Amp, man.
Appreciate you calling in, man. I'm glad that you tuned in the way you do.
Been following you for a while, so I got a couple questions for you, man. So I heard you mention, we've been talking about QB and, his responsibility and role and all of that good stuff, right? So if you had to, twofold question, confidence level of success for your defense going into this season, scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel?
Repeat that one more time.
Confidence level of success of your defense going into 2023, how do you feel?
Oh, 10.
Cool. Understood. Nothing needs to be said. Yeah. Confidence level for the same for your offense.
8.
Okay. Bro, forgive me for what I'm about to do. Right now, you're Dak Prescott, right? You're looking at your offensive line.
Okay.
Your dog Tyron banged up. Terrence on the way back. Don't know when he's coming back. You got a couple other questions because, some other pieces are moving, because of free agency, et cetera, whatever. All right. That's your O-line room. So we're going to put a question mark there, right?
Question mark is more about question mark is more Tyron Smith, and then when they move Tyler to left tackle to guard, I'm more worried about the interior depth.
Just the final fit,
I mean, the final fit, the starting five, I'm not worried about. It's the what happens when Tyron goes down that has me worried.
When?
But anyway, continue. Yeah, not if. No, you will never ever hear me say if when it comes to Tyron Smith anymore. It's a matter of when that happens, bro.
Facts. So, receiver room, couple years removed from Amari's departure. Gallup was banged up last year. Don't know what he may look like, in his recovery process going forward to this year. You got Jalen Tolbert. You made some chemistry with him last year. Coordinator's gone. Don't know how your big three is going to look now. You got a brand new receiver in Cooks. In my personal opinion, I'm putting a question mark there.
Wow.
Just because you unknown, right?
Wait, no, unknown. Here's what we know. We know that CeeDee
I'm
Lamb.
saying, no, he can ball. The dude can flat out ball. I ain't talking about his production. I'm just talking about what it looks like in our new offense. That's my question.
Well, technically, you can say the whole offense is unknown, but you asked me my confidence level. How your confidence level is not high for the receiver?
That's what I was. That's what I was getting at. I'm looking around.
Well, let me get to what I'm talking about for the room real quick. This is what we know. CeeDee Lamb is one of the best wide receivers in the league. Right?
No doubt.
All right. Here's what we know. Brandon Cooks has been one of the best wide receivers in the league for the last 10 years. He got 6 1,000-yard seasons. He's only one of like 7 or 8 dudes to do that. And he's done it with multiple different coordinators, multiple different schemes, multiple different quarterbacks. So I have no worry in my mind that he'll come here with a really good quarterback, a really good running mate, and be a really good part of this offense. And we also know now Michael Gallup will slide into that third option as opposed to being the second option off of a ACL injury. So I expect him to be better. How much better, that's an unknown. But I don't doubt the receiver room from 1 to 3. Not at all. I'm sorry. I differ there. But continue.
Cool. Okay, so how do you feel about the running back room?
You asking the wrong dude. I just look at running back. I'll say, well, how is my running scheme? Is my line blocking? Is my play caller? Do they have a scheme? Because I could plug any running back that has some juice and is tough. I think you can run out there right now with Tony Pollard, Rojo. Obviously, Pollard has to be healthy, and Deuce, and you can have a successful running game as long as you have the right scheme and the guys are blocking. So you're asking the wrong dude. I don't really look at running back and need a workhorse anymore. So I'm not worried about running back right now. I'm more worried about when is Tony Pollard coming back, pretty much.
Understood. And that's a big question mark for all of us because of his production.
Sure.
I'm just if I'm Dak, I'm looking at the room, and to start off the season is a little shaky to me, just because you've got questions that, granted, they will be answered, but you just don't know what the answer is going to be.
I think the only question mark that I can really say is valid that you have is if you wanted to talk O-line. Like, that's it. I mean, I don't understand how there's a question mark at receiver. There's no question mark at receiver, dog. Like, CeeDee Lamb, Cooks, and Gallup is like a top 5 or 6 unit in this league. Like, that's wild to say they're a question mark. As for running back, I just sat here and watched a 7th-round pick, a journeyman backup, lead the way in the Super Bowl. I watched a Boston Scott, a Miles Sanders, and whomever else make it to the Super Bowl. I watched too many teams with run-of-the-mill running backs drafted mid-rounder or 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, or undrafted have success. So excuse me if the running back room doesn't really bother me much. I think you can get by with non-big names at running back. And plus, by the way, you have a Pro Bowler who was an absolute beast last year, but that's neither here nor there. So,
Right.
and then you got Dak Prescott, who has proven as long as I'm on the field, we are usually putting out a pretty successful offense. Whether I have offensive line question marks, which happened last year, whether I have no Amari Cooper and a bunch of wide receiver 2s or 3s, which he had last year, aside from CeeDee Lamb, whether my running game goes through a stagnant, post, whether my offensive line goes to a stagnant situation, if he's playing, you have an advantage that you don't have when he's not playing from a successful offensive standpoint. So, yeah,
undoubtedly. I
think the biggest question mark is how our scheme looks. Like, what is that going to be? I can't tell you. I don't know what that is. I don't know. But I feel confident as long as 4 is out there, you got plenty of talent. I mean, you went out and got Cooks. You got plenty of talent to get it done, man.
Cool. Now follow up. Well, shifting gears rather.
Yeah.
How did you feel when we got the acquisition of Gilmore?
I was excited.
Like, how did you feel like pre-draft after we made our free agent acquisitions?
Oh, you must ain't been listening, because I said, you mean not free agent, you mean the trades?
Yeah.
I said the Cowboys could forfeit the draft right now, and I have the confidence that this team can go out there and compete with anybody. That's how confident I was.
I just needed you to say it again, but I legitimately felt the same way. I'm like, I said something this year. I even told my wife, bro. She knows I'm a lifetime Cowboy fan.
Yeah.
I said, babe, you never heard me say this before, but looking at what we did pre-draft,
yep,
and how well we normally do in the draft, I said, babe, and plus what we retained, I said
that was key too.
The Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl. I said, because this is unheard of. We doing stuff that we hadn't done, right? But, bro, something hit me last night because I've been hearing all this Diggs talk, right? Because we were super excited.
That was a twist. Yeah, go ahead.
What
hit you?
I said, damn. Gilmore is the flex, bro.
Yeah.
They brought Gilmore in to curb Diggs' leverage for this year. Like, on the surface, I was looking at it like, man, he's great. He comes in with Super Bowl experience, great knowledge, super talent. He's going to, be, in essence, a coach on the field. He's going to help these guys. All those things is what I was praising. But last night I was like, damn. He legit is the –
Here's the biggest thing he's going to do for you on the field. He's going to have that pass rush on steroids. Because now you can't turn to AB and Boss Man Fat and Nashawn Wright and Rhodes and all these other dudes off the street and be like, all right, cool, we good. We got an outlet. Now you got to hold that ball a little bit longer. And when you hold that ball a little bit longer, we got one of the best pass rushes in the league. Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate.
But I think in his creepy, crazy mind, I think that was Steven's way of kind of saying, yeah, Diggs, we need you to bring it down a couple notches, homeboy. But I appreciate your time, man. POP, hold it down.
Hold it down, man. Appreciate you landing the plane. All right, big dog. It wasn't that dang on bad. We just had to land the plane. That's all. We just had to land the plane. But intriguing questions. Maybe something we can revisit. I mean, it's fair. It is fair for people to question the offense as a whole, I guess, because we don't know the scheme or whatever in the offense line situation. But I'm sorry, I can't question the receiver room, and I will always tell people I'm the wrong person to ask about running backs, man. I'm just the wrong one. I don't think you need a workhorse guy, and I think you got a Tony Pollard and a bunch of dudes that complement Tony Pollard. So I feel good about it. Now, if you say, well, what about the run scheme? That's the question mark for me. Bring me in the run scheme. D said he pump faked it. All right, let's get to the last caller and get up out of here. Sully, did he hit me with the... Oh, where's it at? Hey, 469. What it is, what it do, man?
Hey, what's up with this guy? How you doing?
I'm good, man.
Man, I've been listening to you for about about 2 years, man. And
Damn.
I appreciate your content, man. You've been on it, man. I get up in the morning, man. How do y'all do this every day? And I just said to myself, you have to have a passion for your team and what you're doing and love what you're doing. So I appreciate the good work that you guys put out, man. And I never, lowball you guys or, discredit any of the work you do, because I don't see nobody on YouTube or any other platforms across America doing what y'all do for these Dallas Cowboys at all.
Man, that's real. You're absolutely right. You have to have a love for not only this team, but what you do. And I got both of those.
Right, I had to first off get that out. You know what I'm saying? This is my first time calling in, but I do watch the show. By the time I decide to call in, it's like a lot of the questions that I wanted to ask or talk about, somebody done said it or you done hit on it already, or whatever. But I did have a question. What do you think? What do you think would happen if, hypothetically, even though we brought I forgot his name that quick, the cornerback in.
What position? What position you talking about?
The cornerback we just brought in.
Oh, Gilmore. Yeah.
So if he go down, who do we have to replace him?
So
if something was to happen to him.
That's a good question. So you know how they were working Deron Bland inside outside. He could potentially be an option. Israel McQuam was another guy that could be a wild card there if they decide to pull that trigger. Nahshon Wright technically is still here, and then, of course, Boss Man Fat. I don't know if those two guys would be legitimate options, but if you're asking me right now in May, because things can definitely change at camp and preseason, but in May I would go with sliding Deron Bland on the outside, and then
putting
Jordan
what's
Lewis.
the name?
I'll just put Jordan Lewis.
We still got Jordan Lewis.
Yeah.
Okay. I ain't really read nothing on him, update about him.
Yeah, because he remember he got injured, so he was recovering from that. But that's what I would do.
And then he got injured catching the interception on top of that.
He got injured on his interception. He was starting to get back right, and then boom, he got injured.
Sure did. I remember that. And just right before that guy was asking you them weird questions, like he was finna hit you with something. I was anticipating what was he going with it. He really didn't go nowhere with it. Just the way he was asking was kind of weird. But I guess
you're talking about the ranking, the confidence of the offense and defense.
Yeah, man. Like that was kind of weird. But while he was saying that, look, this is what I was thinking.
Okay.
All right, I know every year we say Super Bowl, we can win a Super Bowl, this and that. And then I thought about, like, you know what? He could be on to something. The reason why I believe he could be on to something, because what I noticed about our Cowboys, and everybody knows, even my little 10-year-old son knows this, you can dictate what we're going to do on offense.
Yeah.
And for you to say you don't know you don't know what it's going to look like yet, that means the rest of the league don't know what it's going to look like.
Talk to him. So, that's real.
If that's the case, they don't have that. Let's look at the film from last year to study this team for this year. They're gonna have to wait for this whole season to play out or at least 9-10 games to play out before they can even get some credible film on what it is that we're doing.
That's true.
And I think that can play to our advantage for the year.
Yeah, I think what the caller was probably trying to get at was, like, we don't have any questions on defense, right? Like, most of the questions reside with, like, depth. Most of the questions reside with who's our third and fourth linebacker type. But the defense, you feel like, man, they can go out there and be one of the top defenses right now. I think he's saying is there's more question marks offensively, and that's fair. Like, it all depends how you determine it. He believes there's question marks at receiver, at running back, offensive line. That is fair. You can talk yourself into that. But my biggest answer to all that is 4 playing. If 4 is playing, then I think it'll be more about how do I manage that with him there. Yes. If I can manage it correctly, I think we can go farther. It's a situation. I hate to go back with the San Fran game. When TP went down, it should have never been about putting it on the back of 4. It should have been about, okay, how do I manage this situation where we are devoid of a bunch of talent offensively with our best player out, our running back hobbled who really couldn't give us any type of burst. How do I manage that? Well, they could have did things like not throw it on 2nd and 2. They could have did things like, run the ball a little bit more with Malik Davis. They could have did some screens, easy button things. And then you say, okay, we managed it well, Dak. We did our part. Now I just need you to hit on those plays, because I say this all the time. There's about 5 to 6 plays where it don't matter what you call, what you do. I just need you to execute. I just need you to do that. And I think that's where it comes for me. If 4 is there, I just need to be able to manage the game right with him and the guys we got, because you got guys right now healthy. You do. I think you're good enough on both sides of the ball to be one of the top teams in the league, man. That's just me.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And when you predictable, we're talking about competent NFL players on defense that's smart, and they go over this over and over every day, every week. And I'm sure they watch film and do all sorts of things, so they can actually see plays developing before it happened, and they can just see, okay, they just did this play the last drive. They just did this play 2 drives ago. They just did this play 3 downs ago.
That happened on the pick. Man. That happened on the interception. I don't know if it was David Carr, if it was Kurt Warner. I forget who pinpointed it out. But we got down to that same exact area, and they ran a very similar concept. And they got picked apart on it the first time. The second time around, the cornerback adjusted to it, and we had an interception. So, that team specifically, D'Amico Ryans and that defense, that's a smart team, man. You can't be predictable when you're playing those guys, man.
All right, look, the last thing I'm going to say before I get out of here, because I don't want to be too long-winded and land the plane smoothly. To my Cowboy fans out there, usually when they call in the play, because people think that Dak, he can just do his Peyton Manning routine where he can just change the whole play. Depending on what play is called, what set that we in, he only have a limited amount of audibles that he can change that play into, that everybody can understand what's going on. So it ain't like he can just change the play from a 4 receivers into a complete run play up the middle with Zeke. So he pretty much has to run the play that's designed. So that's why I hate when they try to get on Dak, say the interceptions, this and that. Y'all got to remember who put him in them positions and wanted him to try to get out of a hard predicament. You know what I'm saying? It's just like throwing me out there with 5 people and jumping me, and I'm supposed to get through all of them and get away. It's just hard. It's hard to do that.
Yeah, I used to hate when people said, well, he could change the play. Well, he does that. He does that plenty. He goes to the line and he audibles a ton. Half the time they go to the line with 2 plays, because in Kellen Moore's system, it was almost always dependent on what the defense is showing you. And teams caught on to that. Teams was like, okay, well, we'll show you one thing and we'll switch it up. So now I got your quarterback having to go through multiple reads as opposed to going through 1 or 2. Because I hate when people say he doesn't read he quite literally does. Sometimes he does it too fast. And in reality, in reality, you always want your first read to hit. Like, every team designs a play for their first read to be successful. And if that read is not there, now we go to the secondary reads. But I digress. We get into X's and O's, but I appreciate the football talk, man.
Oh, no, for sure, man. I appreciate you for taking my call and just hearing me out, man. I really do. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Good stuff, man. What's your name?
All right.
I forgot to get the last.
Noel.
Let me put y'all in here. Noel.
Yeah, put me in there, man. I'll be calling back here and there.
All right, big dog. And last
call.
Hey,
by the way, last year, right before we made that pick and got Tyron Smith, I gotta say that I had put in the comment. I'm like, man, we're gonna pick an offensive tackle. And you read my comment. You said, I doubt the Cowboys gonna pick an offensive. We ain't pick an offensive tackle about 8 years in the first round.
You said Tyron Smith.
and we end up getting him, man. I was so happy, bro.
Tyler. You're talking about last year. Tyler
Smith. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I did not see Tyler Smith coming until the day before, where it was like, hey man, you might want to pay attention to Tyler Smith. And I did not see Tyler coming. No doubt about it. I thought we'd get offensive lineman. I just didn't think it'd be a tackle. But it was a tackle we turned to guard. So that was a win.
Right. That's when I was like, man, I was like, my guy, his stuff, because you saying names. I thought, look, I'm going to tell you before I get on, I thought I knew my information real good. But when I started listening to you, man, I was like, this man, he's throwing out names that man, I ain't never heard of it. I'm like, let me go back and check some of these people out. And I start checking. I'm like, yeah, my boy, he on it, man. This the guy right here. I got to make sure I stay up on his content and try not to put out too many gems for other teams in our division, sir.
I try not to, man. Appreciate you, big dog. Hey, I just, you know, first of all, I got to tip my hat to guys like Foots and Vach who are, if you're talking about the draft, those are the guys, you know. I'm still developing and learning how to scout. I hate to use that word. I'm not a real scout, but that's what it is, right? How to scout and follow tendencies and trends and things like that. But appreciate the kind words, man. I really do. All right, we are up against it a little bit. Went a little longer on the last two, but appreciate y'all. Let me get to some super chats on the way out.
Super chat.
Shout out to my guy, Matt Lennox. Matt, I'm about to text you, man. I'm going to get another segment going now, dang it. We got everybody full time. Y'all know I'm trying to get that writer's block going. Appreciate you though, Matt.
Super chat.
Alex P says, smelling like an MVP season for that. There was a question yesterday. Somebody said MVP Super Bowl. Man, we all want the Super Bowl. So I hope he's Super Bowl MVP. I don't give a damn about the MVP. Super Bowl MVP. But Pat Mahomes broke that little streak of not winning the Super Bowl when you're the MVP. So maybe he starts something.
Super chat.
DC dropped. That was yesterday. He dropped another one though, but appreciate you, DC, for life. 6 to midnight.
Super chat.
He said, he dropped 5 and says, should we be worried about the amount of teams Brandon Cooks has been on in such a short period of time? I wouldn't. But dang, I wish I'd have read that earlier. I would have loved to kind of go into that a little bit more. I think it's a testament to the fact that he was able to be on all these teams and be successful. It's not like he's been a locker room problem. He's been a bad player or anything like that. This is just part of business, man. He's never been DeAndre Hopkins and Larry Fitzgerald in his prime or those type of guys where he's a number one receiver most teams are just keeping all the time. He was one of the most quality number 2 guys. And those dudes tend to move around. You know, you can get good value for him. Hell, if you were the team, because he got traded for a first and second round pick like 3 times. If you were a team, would you turn down a first or second round pick for your second best receiver? No, you would take it. So everywhere he went, he just was successful because he was good. And this is how you know he was good, because he was getting traded for those type of picks when he was younger. Now he's older. You're not trading a first or second round pick for him. But what you do get is you get value. You get an older guy who still has juice, who still was good for a 5th round pick and not really paying him that much. So he might end up being more valuable now for you than he was for the other teams because you ain't giving up day 1 or 2 picks. You know what I mean? Shout out to the landlord from Alabama, just dropped one.
Super chat.
Said shout out to Sky and the bomb squad. We need that land and Sky attack the ops from all areas. Salute. You're absolutely right. Make sure you call in too this week, man. All right, good stuff. Good stuff this week. This week flew by, man. Flew by. Love it. Tomorrow we'll probably do roll out the TV, man. Friday. It's the off season. Ain't doing nothing. I might roll out the TV, do a mailbag, talk to y'all, send out the mailbag questions, see if you guys have anything on your mind you want to discuss on the show. Later on, final show of the week with me and Vach on the Vach Lombardi live show. You cannot miss shows, man. Yesterday was a doozy. And then Mo will be back on for the final show of the week, A to Z Sports Prime Time. Do me a favor. If you were here for me and Pat's scientific method, drop fire emojis. Pat came through, talked about the day 3 draft picks and their potential future. As always, it's good stuff, man. We'll be back next week for another episode / segment of the scientific method. And of course, if you're new and you enjoy all this, man, hit that sub button. That's how you become part of the Bomb Squad, man. All right, I'm going to go ahead, press this button, get up out of here, and get ready for later on in the day. Oh, my gosh. You know, I don't even acknowledge these type of comments anymore. It's just certain fans are casual fans, and that's fine. We got a lot of casual fans. A lot of casual fans are part of being a fan. But I said it on Twitter. This show ain't for the casual fan. Salute.
Bomb Squad!